Yo, 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 what's cracking with the people? What's popping? What's popping? What's popping? Can I get a mic check? Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me okay? Just making sure y'all can hear me before I get going. Y'all hear me all right? All right, good. Okay, so before we get into this big day for the Carolina Panthers, Frank Reich is going to have introductory press conference today at 12 o'clock. I went live a little early because I want to talk about a couple of things before we get started. First of all, I want to take the time to apologize for the lack of show yesterday. I know how it is when you're looking forward to wanting to see something, and every Monday we're here and it doesn't happen. I know it could be disappointing, so I appreciate all the support. I know if you don't know, my family, my wife is sick. My youngest daughter is sick as well. I'm fine. I feel fine. I'm good. But they're getting better now. It's all good. But I had to do my daddy duties yesterday. I'm pulling like triple duty outside, so it's all good. So I just want to make sure, I had to take care of my family, and I didn't want to give y'all a half-ass show. So my apologies. We'll be back live tonight. 8:30 tonight. Me and Dave will be back to break down this press conference in further detail. And we'll break it down. We'll break it down. So let's see. We got to talk about a couple of things before this press conference gets started. A couple of things, because I think some major news did happen yesterday in regards to a couple of coordinators. We were able to re-sign Chris Tabor and James Campen to the staff, which that's like huge news. So if you don't know, those two guys are critical in two of the best position groups that we have on the Panthers, which is special teams, who I think ranked 4th in the NFL when it comes to the grade. I don't know how they grade special teams, I'm gonna be honest. But they were 4th in the league. And so obviously it has a lot to do with Hecker. Hecker was pretty excited with the re-signing of Tabor. Also, Campen. Now, you all know, if you've been watching this show, you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you know how I feel about our offensive line. And it has been terrible since 2008. On record, I have the stats to prove it. It's been terrible, okay? Cam did his damnedest to carry a terrible offensive line. But the offensive lines have been bad here in Carolina. Have not been good. Campen has come in alongside some personnel moves with the signing of Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, and then drafting Ike Ekwonu. With those guys, getting those guys, and then having Campen coach them up, we now have and what I firmly believe, and I don't know if the stats match what I'm saying, but I believe it's a top 10 group. That offensive line is a top 10 group, in my opinion. Especially when it comes to the run game. They were monsters in the run game. Okay, so that's not all of it, right? You have to be able to pass protect as well. And I think if you can bring back that group will continue to grow, continue to evolve, and get better over time. So now that you bring back the coach and we bring back the players, I just think they're gonna do nothing but get better and better and better as they continue to mesh. So bringing those two guys, Tabor and Campen, back was huge. I don't think people understand. And apparently Tepper and Fitterer made the push for that. And I don't know if it was necessarily Reich's game plan. He did mention both of these guys in his introductory press conference. So I'm pretty sure they told him, hey, bro, if you get this job, you pretty much gonna have to take these guys because these guys are top tier guys. And you know what I do like? And we always talk about fresh start. And we talk about, getting new blood in here. But I got to be honest, I like the continuity from those, because when you have a good thing, sometimes you got to keep that good thing. And I understand, because some of y'all gonna be like, oh, Wilkes, you should have kept Wilkes too. I get that. But when you got a good thing with your coordinators, you got to keep them around. Now, I do think there's some other things we need a new direction in. But for special teams and offensive line, I firmly believe that those two guys were needed back. They were needed back. So I agree with that. Now today, hopefully we get an idea of who the offensive coordinators are. Now, offense and defensive coordinators are. It has not been, nothing has been mentioned yet. I don't know who, the word on the street, is that we're looking at Brian Johnson as our offensive coordinator, who is the Eagles quarterbacks coach. So if we happen to get the Eagles quarterbacks coach, I will be elated. Because again, that RPO system that the Eagles are running, that's a product of Frank Reich, Doug Peterson. Like that's that system. That's what they do. So if we can get a guy like Stroud or a Levis. I know there's some of y'all don't like Levis, but hey, in that RPO system, it makes it easy on quarterbacks. So if you can get one of those guys, Levis, AR, I'm telling you, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Defensive coordinator, I do not know. We did interview a couple of guys prior to Reich's hiring that were defensive coordinators. Obviously, no Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio, man, I think he likes being wanted right now, to be honest with you. He is still on the fence between going to Miami and then going to the 49ers. A couple of things going on with that. So I'm not quite sure where he's going to end up, but it does not appear that the Carolina Panthers are on Vic Fangio's radar at the moment, which is unfortunate. We're cool with that. I still like a couple of guys out there, and we'll see. We'll see. Frank Reich, they had a solid defense over his years, and people fail to realize that the defenses in Indianapolis have been good under Reich. Like, so people keep talking about how much of an offensive genius he is, but his defenses have been damn good. I believe 3 out of the 4.5 years he was there, they were top 15. So his defenses have been solid. So I know we get caught up in this offensive coordinator thing, but I do like how, or this offensive mind, the buzzword offensive mind, but I do like how Frank Reich, again, even with his first little sit down with Kristen Balboni, I don't know how to say her last name, Balboni, whoever she is. When he sat down with her, he mentioned, like, yo, this defense is solid. I got a lot to work with here. And so the fact that he said that, being an offensive mind, that should give a lot of Panthers fans some hope, right? He's not going to ignore the defense. This is not going to be a situation where he's all offense and we're going to forget about the defense. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So Vic Fangio, he has not signed with Miami. He has not signed. I think they thought they come to terms, but he has not signed with Miami just yet. He has not signed in Miami. I think he's kind of waiting on that 49ers job. I think now that the 49ers lost, DeMeco Ryans could soon be announced as the head coach for the Denver Broncos. If that happens, there's an opening. And I think Vic Fangio would love to go there. And wouldn't you? Wouldn't you love to go there versus coming to Carolina or Miami? I would think so. So we did, just for those that don't know, we did offer him to be the highest paid coordinator in history. We were handing them the bag. And Miami, essentially, they had to offer. They had to match the offer, and apparently they did that. And he decided to go Miami on paper. It hasn't been signed yet, but he decided that he's going to shun Carolina, go to Miami. But now that 49ers are out, maybe John Lynch can find him a bag, and maybe they'll sign him. So I think it's okay, my bad. I don't know. My bad. I didn't know. Maybe Ryan's going to the Texans. I don't know. That would be my fault. I didn't know that. I have no idea what's going on with the Texans, to be honest with you. That's just a franchise. It's not on my radar. It's not. That franchise is not on my radar. So my bad. I did not know. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for letting me know that Ryan's going to the Texans. I don't know. If I'm him, there's no way in hell I'm going to the Texans. No way. No way. And I'll let Dave go on his soapbox on that. But there's no way in hell I'm going to the Texans if I'm Ryans, bro. Zero chance, bro. Zero chance. I'm not going there. You can read between the lines of what I'm saying, but I'm not going there if I'm him, bro. It's not happening. I'll pass. Better options. Yeah, former player, top of the. I get it. I'm not going there if I'm him. Read between the lines. But yeah, man. So right now, again, we're just gonna wait. Let me get this set up just so we are prepared when it goes down. We're prepared for let's just test the audio. We got to make sure everything is up to par. So I want to let me stop that. I don't want any interruptions. Y'all know how we do when this joint comes. I'm a live react, and we're gonna talk about and react to what Frank Reich is saying. We're gonna say if it's cap, we're gonna call cap. If it's real, we're gonna call real. Okay, so let's just play this just to make sure the audio is straight so y'all can hear. Here we go.
It has been for you. Earlier this afternoon, it was announced that you are the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Now, tonight, we are sitting here in your daughter's living room in Charlotte. Can you take me through the last, let's call 48 hours or so?
It's been incredible. You know, for us as a family, this place has always been special. Our children kind of grew up here, always been Panther fans. And obviously with my connection being a former player, you know, to think that we're here now and having the opportunity.
All good. So we'll wait for that to come along, and we're just going to roll with that. Just had to test that out. Again, we don't want any disruptions when it comes to this press conference. We want to go smooth into it. So we got about 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes before this thing kicks off. And I'm excited. I got to be honest with y'all. I'm still hype about this hire. I think it was a safe hire for Tepper, and I think it was a good hire. It was a good, safe hire for Tepper, and it appears. Again, nobody has been more critical of David Tepper. I've been a fan of Scott Fitterer. I'm not going to lie. I've been a fan because I know the circumstances he was hired under. He was hired under a guy that was given, full reign over the franchise, and it didn't work out. So I understood that Scott Fitterer was hamstring. He was trying to operate with his hands tied behind his back, right? He didn't have full control. But right now, the moves that are being made, it just makes like we're making the common sense moves. You get an offensive mind in here, right? He has success. He knows what he's doing. He's a former player. He's a former player of the Carolina Panthers, so he knows. He played alongside Sam Mills, so he knows what key pounding is. He's not going to bring in some BS DBO or tough A football team or some weak-ish like that. That's not what he's going to do. He understands the culture. So it was a balance, right? This was a very good hire for Tepper and Scott Fitterer if he was in on the hire. And then we follow that up with bringing back two very solid offensive coordinators who I like. All these things are good signs. These are good common sense moves. Now, the next common sense move that has to be made, because we talked about it. We're starting to check these boxes. Starting to check boxes. Bring back Campen. Bring back Tabor. Probably going to re-sign Brian Burns. There's going to be some things that happen. And also, make sure you all stay tuned to my Sign or Walk series. My Sign or Walk series is going to be coming up very soon. This is where we break down all of the free agents. We talk about, their contributions to the Carolina Panthers, their current market value, and we say, okay, yes, we should sign them or we should let them walk. I have been pretty spot on with my sign or walks, okay? I can't say that I've missed on any of them. I'm going to be honest with you. I said we should probably pass on, D-Jack. I said we should re-sign Hassan Reddick. I said I've been pretty spot on. Re-sign Frankie Louvu. You go back and watch all of my sign or walks. I've been pretty spot on. It's not difficult to see if they're going to be a good fit. And I think we got a solid group of sign or walks to come up this year, and we're going to break it down. It's going to be pretty good. I like the sign or walk. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing the research on the market value. It's going to be great. No, I'm not including Shaq on the walk list. I think Shaq is solid. And he Shaq is got a couple more years. He's under contract. I'm only talking about folks that are free agents and or need to be extended. Only those guys, only free agents, only upcoming free agents. I won't include anybody that's under contract. Can we get a spoiler? Should we re-sign Ioannidis? That's a good one. You know what? I can't even give you an answer on him. I can't give you an answer on him because I don't know. To be honest with you. I gotta go back and look at some things. I gotta do my research, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Have you took a look at the salary cap? Of course. I am the salary cap guru. Matter of fact, I need an internship under Samir Suleiman. I'm the salary cap guy. I does that. Claire said he need that mock jab Monday to return. My bad. Again, I got y'all, man. My fault. I got y'all. Again, it was a lot going on in the household. I got to make sure my situation's straight with sick folk. But yeah, it's coming back. I got y'all. But yeah, man. Ionitis, that's a good question. I think Ionitis was decent. He was decent under us. I think Rapod, the salary cap guru. Yes. Now I'm not podding today, man. I don't have a reason to pod. Dave sometimes he makes me pod, but I ain't got no. I'm chilling today, bro. I'm chilling. How does a league-wide salary cap? Let's take a quick look. I'll give y'all a quick sneak peek. I typically do an off-season recap, kind of give us a look into the future. But typically, what you see when you look at a lot of these mock salary cap these salary cap sites like Over the Cap and Spot Track, when you look at those, a lot of those increases are already built in. They're already built in. So it really doesn't change our outlook much because those increases are already built in. But we'll take a look. I'm pulling it up now. Give me 1 second. Once this loads. Yeah. So here we go. Let me add this to it so y'all can see. Yeah, so this is the current salary cap. Again, like I said, a lot of the salary cap stuff was already built in. It's already built in. So you won't see much. We're still $8 million over the cap. So we still have a ways to go. We still have ways to go. Let me just double check. Let me double check Spot Track and see what it says, just to make sure they update it. But typically, both of them are close to the same. Let me just double check. So I don't want to feed y'all bad information. Here we go. Carolina Panthers. Yeah, it's about the same. So yeah, we're about $8 to $9 million over the cap. All right. Let me see. I'm just reading what y'all are saying, because again, some of this stuff, like no, I don't gotta add it. I don't have to add it because it's already built in. It's already built in. So when you look at these, like let me give y'all an example. Look at 2024. Like the salary increases are already there. Is he on? Is on already? All right, let's get it. The stream is on, they're saying. Let me see. All right, let's get it. It ain't live. I'll drop the volume on this. All right, so yeah, that includes the rollover for this season as well. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. A lot of this stuff is already built in, bro. It's already built in. So again, I'm not gonna. We'll talk about. I'll do a whole nother video on the salary cap stuff. We'll talk about all that stuff later. But yeah, it's already built in. 10 more minutes. We'll see. I mean, I don't know when they're gonna get started, but we'll hang tight here. Yeah, I like this. This is one thing. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all, man. The social media team is lit, bro. The social media team, the way they handle these press conferences, and that graphic they did with Reich, using that old footage and then bringing it to the new, that joint was fire. That joint was fire, bro. It was fire. So, yeah, man. How many questions on Wilkes will they get asked today? I don't know, man. It depends who all is there. Are we gonna get just Frank Reich, or are we gonna get Tepper? Are we gonna get Fitterer as well? It depends. It depends. Ms. Rand says, what expectations do you have for Frank Reich? Is he good enough to get us over the hump? Does he have the coachability? to take us to a Super Bowl, or is he a playoff run coach? This is a great question because I do think he has the coach ability to take us to a Super Bowl, but I also think that he could be a potential perennial playoff type coach. And Miss Rand, I could tell you've been listening. I see you in here every week because that's my biggest thing. My biggest thing is, I need us to get over the hump. I need to get a Super Bowl. The goal is not to get to the playoffs every year, i.e. the Buffalo Bills, right? Getting to the playoffs is cool. And a lot of y'all are saying, oh, well, you got to get to the playoffs first. Well, yeah, that may be true, but the Cincinnati Bengals say otherwise. I know they just lost yesterday, but they was in the Super Bowl last year, bro. They were in the Super Bowl last year. Off of they had one down year, and boom, they made it to the playoffs and made it to the Super Bowl. So this build-up misconception doesn't have to happen. Like you can, and I think this team, honestly, you want me to be quite frank, I think this team is talented enough to make the push. Right? People keep talking about Wilkes and the lack of talent they had on this team. I get at the quarterback position. We was a little behind the 8 ball. But everywhere else, we were pretty solid. This roster is pretty solid, bro. It's a pretty solid roster. We get somebody in here that can coach. I think and again, I will walk back off of we shouldn't make the playoffs on the first year. I walked that back. I was talked out of that. You guys are absolutely right. We should make the playoffs the first year. We should be in the playoffs and winning the division in the first year. The way the division looks, I think we have the most talented team in the division on paper, and now we have the best coach in the league on paper, in the division on paper. To me, that equals a playoff run, right? So and then y'all are right. Once you get to the playoffs, boom, anything can happen. But I think that yes. I think he has the ability, because he's an offensive mind. Typically, offensive guys are a little more aggressive than defensive minds, which is why I prefer offensive minds over defensive minds. Right? And people say it doesn't matter, but it does matter. Having an offensive mind versus a defensive mind clearly matters. It clearly matters. Don't listen to anybody that says otherwise, because it's cap. It matters. It matters. It absolutely matters the type of guy you have. And obviously, you have to be a leader. You have to be that's innate in every head coach. The head coach has to be a good leader. So I agree with you. That is a valid component. But think about it. If you had prior head coach experience, you're obviously going to be a good leader. So he was a head coach with the Indianapolis Colts for 5 years. So absolutely, he has leadership qualities. Right? So I fully think that Reich can take us to a playoff run in the first year. I think so. And I think that should be the expectation. Super Bowl, can he do it? We'll have to see. We'll have to see how, when he gets here, first couple of games, we're going to have to see how it works out. But I think with the new coach, obviously we're going to have a lot of the same personnel. With the new coach, we're going to be able to catch a lot of people off guard. A lot of people don't. That's an underrated aspect to being a first-year head coach in a division where everybody else stays the same. Those folks don't know how to coach against Frank Reich. It's going to be brand new. We're going to catch a lot of people off guard. New systems, new things. It's going to, when you get against the division opponents, we're going to catch a lot of people off guard because guess what? You brought back Tabor. You brought back Campen. We're going to know how to coach against them. They won't know how to coach against us. They won't know how to coach against a Reich-led system. They won't know. But we'll be able to, because we're bringing back some guys, we'll be able to know how to go against them. So it's going to be dope. It's good. I'm excited. I'm really excited. So a lot of Corral questions. Do I think MC9, Matt Corral 9, has a chance to be the guy because I do? It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters whether I think it. It's whether Reich thinks it. And we're going to find out draft night if he thinks it. The truth is that Matt Corral is an RPO quarterback. He is an RPO style quarterback. He succeeded under the Lane Kiffin RPO style system in college, and he looked good doing it. Matt Corral, one of the biggest knocks against him was that he was a system quarterback, which is why he fell to the third round. He's a system quarterback that runs the RPO, right? So I don't know that Matt Corral can. If Frank Reich has the opportunity to draft a guy at 9, or whether we decide to trade up and draft a CJ Stroud, then I think he's going to do that. I don't think you can hedge your bets all on one guy, and you haven't had a chance to work with him. These guys are going to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy into scouting these quarterbacks. And so I think that, the question is, how would Frank Reich grade Matt Corral versus the current crop of quarterbacks? That's what he has to answer in his head. Go back. You don't have any NFL film because the film that he did put up was ass. Keeping it a buck. The film, he doesn't have NFL film, Matt Corral. He doesn't. Let's keep it a buck. He does not have NFL film. He was awful in the preseason. Not to his fault, because he was taking 4th string snaps, not getting any reps. So it's not his fault. But what Reich has to do is, one, assess the injuries, right? Because he's staying hurt. That's the biggest issue. You can't pull all your chips in on a hurt quarterback, a guy that stays injured. So is he going to be okay? I know you can't predict injuries, but you can surely assess the risk factor of a guy getting re-injured. You can assess that. Is the ankle going to hold up? How bad is it damaged? You can run those assessments. So how would he rank them? If you had CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Matt Corral, if they were all in the same draft, how would you rank them? I got you. 2-minute warning. Appreciate y'all. 2-minute warning. I got y'all. I got it right here. I got it on the screen. All I got to do is turn the volume back up because they're playing this crazy. Oh. Little vibe going on. Yeah, so they're playing that music right now. I gotta mute it. So as soon as they go live, all I gotta do is turn the volume up. So yeah, I see all of y'all. I see all of y'all ranking them in the chat. It depends where we'll rank them. Because if he can go out there and get a better quarterback, I most certainly think he will. Levis is going to be Zach Wilson all over again. Well, could be. Give me CJ Stroud and call it a day, man. This guy stop playing. I heard that Reich will call plays. I think that's been floating in the chat. The chat has been saying that, according to Will Kunkel, Frank Reich will call plays. That's what we'll find out. I guess we're going to find out in a minute. Hell, we're going to find out in a minute. I'm assuming that's going to be the first question they ask is who's calling the plays. I think Hooker is 25 years old. By the time the draft will start, he'll be 25 years old, coming off an injury. I would not be surprised if Hooker goes in the 4th, 5th, maybe even undrafted because of the injury. He got injured at close to the end of the season, so it's a tough break for him. He probably won't even be ready to go by training camp. So it wouldn't be surprised me if he goes undrafted, to be honest with you. Yeah, it sucks. But he's close to 30 years old already. So he's an old quarterback. So a lot of teams ain't gonna put their chips. And quarterbacks can play until they're 4. Oh, here we go.
This is a special day in the history of this
Started
franchise.
on time, too.
It's a full circle moment for the Carolina Panthers. A union of past and present with an eye on the future. Today marks the start of a new beginning for this franchise, but it also marks a return to the very beginning.
For us as a family, this place has always been special.
Looks good. I like the color.
To the end zone. Right to Metzelar's the first touchdown in Carolina.
History lesson for y'all.
History.
A lot of y'all came in after Cam. This is history right here.
Everything we do is explosive.
Who throws caught? Foles touchdown. How do you figure?
They win the Super Bowl! No!
Frank Reich authored two of the greatest comebacks in football history, one in college in Maryland, one with the Buffalo Bills against the then Houston Oilers.
All day long. All day long. All day long. Let's go. Keep bringing the energy. Keep bringing the energy. That's what we're talking about. That's the way to go.
And we got your back today, though.
I appreciate that. I got your back, man. I got your back.
Frank Reich, the former Indianapolis head coach, being welcomed across the Queen City. Truly a new era and a new beginning for the Black and Blue and their fans.
You know, to think that we're here now and having the opportunity to be the head coach of the Panthers, tremendous privilege, honor, responsibility. Just excited, ready to get to work.
Shout out Frank Reich. Here we go. Hey, hit that subscribe button too while you're here. A lot of new people in here. Hit that subscribe button for your boy.
We all welcome in Frank Reich today, our new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And what you just saw, those were the first brushstrokes on what is largely a blank canvas. When you hire a new coach, it's a clean slate. It's a barren blank canvas. But that canvas represents possibility. And in his career as a player and a coach, Frank Reich has always shown us what is possible. As you saw in the video, he rallied his college team from 31 down, rallied his NFL team, the Buffalo Bills, from 32 down in a playoff game. We have seen him tasked as the new quarterback to steward a new franchise into a brave new world. We've seen him adapt to circumstances, like when he lost a quarterback in the midst of an MVP season, only to shepherd the backup to a Super Bowl win. He is a part of this franchise's origin story. First quarterback, he threw the first pass. He took the first snap. He threw the first touchdown pass. Frank Reich has been a part of many firsts in this franchise's history, and we're looking forward that you now get a chance to show us what's next. Before we move on, there's some people we'd like to recognize in attendance today. Panthers owners, David Tepper and Nicole Tepper, team president, Christy Coleman, general manager, Scott Fitterer. A number of players have joined us today. I see Taylor Moton, Brady Christensen, Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin, Marquise Haynes, Chuba Hubbard, Ike Ekwonu, all here.
That's dope.
Other players in attendance today
Shout
as
out to
well.
the players.
Carlton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzelars, who caught that first touchdown pass from Frank, Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. We also have the family of our new head coach, Frank Reich, wife Linda, children Hannah, Leah, and Avery, and their husbands Andrew, Thomas, and Brett. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to celebrate this momentous day. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the stage the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper.
While Tepper comes up, I just want to say, that puts to bed that whole, what do the players think about Wilkes leaving and all that. Look at all the players showing up for their new coach. Let's stop the cap.
Well, Nish did a good job taking half of what I was going to say away. So, but I just want to recognize a couple things about Frank. He's a man of incredible integrity, an incredible family man, a person that we could tell has great process and a great way of doing things. That basically has, a guy that basically checks all the boxes, and a guy that you really want to basically help build a culture and help lead a team, hopefully for the next few years and beyond. There's really nothing else for me to say. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Frank. We're really excited about having you here and helping us to build something great.
Yeah, they ain't gonna let us ask no questions. They ain't gonna ask no questions for Tepper. He ain't give us no insight. Why they picked him? Nothing. Look at him. Look at the players, bro. That's dope. Look at the players. That's fire, man.
Well, just want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you to Mr. Tepper and Nicole Tepper for just an incredible opportunity to come back home, to lead a team and a franchise in which we were here at the beginnings, but to take on new challenges and to take us to new heights. We know that's a collective process. I appreciate the opportunity to work under the leadership of an owner and his wife who have already accomplished crazy things in their own life. I want to tap into that energy, that expertise, that innovation, the creativity to be the best. As I went through the interview process, that's what I heard very clearly from Mr. Tepper. That's the standard. That's what we're reaching for. Nothing but the best. Let's be excellent. Let's have a consistency of excellence in everything that we do to create a championship caliber team and a championship caliber organization.
Not a
This
program.
is the NFL. The difference between winning and losing is really small. Every year we see it. We see teams go from big time losing to big time winning, even competing for championships, all in the space of 1 year. It's possible. But how does that happen? How do you turn things around? The reason we see these things happen is because what we all already instinctively know, that winning, the difference between winning and losing, it's in the margins. It's in the details. It's one player at a time. It's one play at a time. It's one detail at a time. It's about focusing on getting it right, not who is right, not being right. We're going to get it right together. It's not a one-man show. You will see that as a coach and as a coaching staff, we will collaborate. We will collaborate with ownership, with Scott Fitter, the GM, with Christy Coleman, the president, the whole crew. We will collaborate together to create a championship caliber organization. And we will collaborate with the players, coaches and players together. This is a player's game. There's one thing I know being in this business as a player and coach for 30 years, this is a player's game. They're the stars, right? But we do it together as a team. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. It's all about the process. It's all about the people. And so we're just going to focus on progress, getting better every day. There's a quote that's been on my desk since my rookie year in 1985. And you'll hear me say this a lot. And it says this, that no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. You know, no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. And so we're going to be a team and an organization that is about creating championship habits, championship thoughts. We're going to cultivate those. We're going to nurture those, and those are going to grow. They're going to be infectious. We want to feel those, and we want to feel that in the community. And we're so excited to really partner with our fans because that's a very important part of the process.
Yes, sir.
My family's already been acknowledged, but I want to acknowledge them again. My wife, Linda, we've been married 36 years, partners for life. We're a football family. Linda and I, as we've moved around the NFL, we only know one way to do it. That's to dive all in. To dive all in. Obviously, I'm diving all into the football process. Linda's leading our efforts as a family to dive into the community and what we do from a charitable standpoint to help serve this community. So we commit to you and we promise to you, we will dive all in. This is about football and this is about winning. That's why I was hired. But it's also about doing it the right way and being part of something special. Of course, our daughters, Leah, Avery, and Hannah, was mentioning early to a group that we're a football family. These girls, they all throw a pretty mean spiral. I taught them when they were young. I'm not sure they still got that in their repertoire. We grew up, they know the X's and O's. I used to take them on dates and teach them the X's and O's and the whole deal. And then, of course, our son-in-laws, Thomas, Brett, and Andrew, when they met our daughters, I had to tell them to put they're all from North Carolina, so they all had their Panthers gear. Of course, when you're with other teams, you had to tell them to put that all in the back of the closet. Well, now I told them you can bring that Panthers gear, put it in the front of the closet, right?
Thanks.
Put that back at the front of the closet. And then I want to acknowledge my former teammates from that 1995 season, the first season ever. What a great experience to be a part of a team, the first inaugural season. Special memories for us as a team. Carlton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzlars, Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. Appreciate you guys being here. And then, of course, just the friends in the community. The support has been overwhelming just in a short amount of time. But in short, as I wrap up, the vision is clear. As we talked with Scott Fitter and with Mr. Tepper, it's to create a band of excellence, create this consistency of excellence that at the top end is championships, and at the bottom end, we're a playoff team. Create that consistency of excellence that produces championships, that brings championships to the Carolina.
Talking my Carolinas. Talk that shit, Frank.
It takes four pillars to do that, right? If you're going to build that championship caliber team, it takes four pillars. It's ownership and the organization. I was telling a bunch of people earlier, through the interview process to get to know Mr. Tepper and Nicole was very dynamic, to see and hear and feel their vision, but also to feel the conversation that we had, the partnership that you could start to feel as we went through the interview process. That's a big deal. And of course, it's not just the ownership, it's the whole organization. For me to get a chance, the most important relationship is really with Scott Fitter, the GM, head coach and GM. You know, we got to be like this. We're together every day. We got to, along with Mr. Tepper, come up with the blueprint of what this team is going to look like and who we're going to be. So really excited to work with Scott. Class act. We're going to fit together perfect as I'm getting to know him. His expertise is going to be a great asset to me and to our team. And so looking forward to that partnership. And of course, with Dan Morgan as assistant, I go back a little bit with him and Samir and then even working with Nicole on the business side and Christy Coleman on the business side. For us, that's a very important part of it as well. So it's about ownership. It's about the players. That's the second pillar. The first is the ownership. You got to have the right ownership to get championships. You got to have the right players. I'm really excited about the roster that we have and the roster that we're going to continue to build. This is what it's all about for me. It's about the relationship and the connection with the players. We give trust to each other right away, but then we continue to gain trust in each other as we work through and go through this journey together. And then it's about the coaches. You know, one of the things that Mr. Tepper made clear is we're going to get the best of the best. He's willing to help support that effort, you know, so that we get the best, not only the best, but the best for our team. So we have the right mix of coaches.
Yeah, try to get big.
And we will have a great coaching staff. And then lastly, that fourth pillar, it's about the fans. I mean, we're at that time of year. There's nothing
we got
like
a
seeing
pillar.
a football stadium rocking.
We got
when
a
the
pillar.
team is having success, and when we're giving the community reasons to be excited about, it'll be a special time to be in that stadium and to be walking around the city wearing the Panthers logo.
Love that.
And then just finally, right, those are the four pillars. And then just finally, this is really to the players. This is really to the players that are here and the ones that might tune in, and they'll hear this soon enough. There's three primary principles. There's three primary principles that we're operate by. The first is a relentless pursuit to get better every day. We got to have a relentless pursuit to get better every day. Nothing can ever get in the way of that. We're committed to that, to push each other in every way. We got to get better every day. No one has all the answers. We work together, we collaborate, and we push each other to be the best. The second one is that excellence comes through competition. We're going to compete in everything we do. In meetings, in the weight room, on the practice field. That's the way you get to be the best. You have to compete against one another and bring out the best. And then, of course, we'll enjoy competing against the opponents. That'll be a lot of fun, and put that on full display, right? And then lastly, it's going to be about the team. The team, the team, the team. We will celebrate. We got great individual players. They'll hit many individual milestones and goals, and we'll celebrate all those. But the team always comes first. That's what we're going to be about. And then in closing, I would just say this. We're going to bring a brand of football and a style of football that this city can be proud of. It's going to be exciting in all three phases. It's going to be innovative. It's going to be creative. We will always be working to get better. And then we're going to do it the right way, on and off the field. We want to make you proud. And so just thankful to be back, and I'll open it up to questions from there.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach.
It's a lot
as
to
he
recap.
said, we will open up to questions. We do have mics in the crowd, so please raise your hand and we'll do our best to get to you. We'll start with Steve Reed, followed by Joe Person and Scott Fowler.
Hey, Frank. Frank, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. First of all, welcome back to Carolina. I wonder if you could talk about the roster that you're inheriting here, and as you're going through the interview process, what were your thoughts on the roster? Where do you feel like it needs to get better? What do you see as some of the strong suits?
I think the defense has been obviously a real strong suit, been top level defense, but we're always looking to get better. To be honest, here's what a top 5 defense gives you an opportunity to do. Top 10 defense is going to give you a chance in every game, but a top 5 defense is what really can elevate you as a team. That you can not only be in every game, but you can find a way to win every game when you got a top 5 defense. So we understand we're in a league that is offensively driven in many ways, but kind of the secret sauce is create and build upon the momentum that we have here, the players, the roster that we have here on defense, get the right coaches so we have the right scheme that accentuate their gifts. I'm not going to go through player by player. Scott and I have sat down, started to talk about that. There's still a whole lot more study that needs to go, but obviously that stands out. And then offensively was really encouraged as I watched kind of the second half of the season and dig into the tape a little bit. There's so much to build on. The offensive line, the running game. We got receivers that can get vertical down the field. The running backs were strong. Foreman looked strong at the end of the year. That's going to be really important for us to get the ball vertically down the field, continue to build this roster so that we improve in all 3 phases, which of course also brings you to special teams, which we're top-ranked special teams. This past year, and we look forward. That's an essential part of a championship caliber football team.
Love that answer. I told you I mentioned defense first.
Good to see you.
Here's Joe.
2 questions. Will you call the offensive plays? And then secondly, did your experience in Indianapolis, will that make you more likely or more convicted to do the draft and develop route at quarterback?
As far as calling plays, I'm going to wait to see that we get the offensive staff together. Obviously, I've always enjoyed doing that. Felt like I've had a good bit of success doing that and enjoy doing that. It feels to me there's a little bit of a trend going away from that. I want to continue to re-examine that, and it just depends on how the staff comes together and the coordinator thing. I'm excited about the prospects of some of the guys that are out there that could be our offensive coordinator. So I'll wait to make the final decision on that. And part B of that question was? You got to have stability at quarterback. You want to have stability at quarterback. So the good thing that I've learned in my past experience here, in the past experience in a few years, is we learned how to adapt to different styles of quarterbacks, but that's not the ideal situation, right? So we, Mr. Tepper, Scott, myself, have to commit to what's our blueprint, how are we going to maintain stability at quarterback, make a plan, and then execute that plan.
It's clear as day to me.
Frank, over to your left, Scott Fowler.
How are you? Hey, Scott.
Glad to see you again. Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
I wonder 2 things. One, if you could give us a couple of the specific 1995 memories you have from here. And then secondly, if you wouldn't mind evaluating a little more specifically the quarterbacks currently on this roster.
Yeah, the memories from that first season, of course, we didn't play here. We played in Clemson. So one of the memories is the bus rides. It's the camaraderie of the players, right? Your teammates, we're on these long, we got home games that we're busing to that are, several hours away, and then traffic coming out of Clemson was, always a little bit slow, even with an escort. But those are great memories. I won't go into the details, but some of the memories of our practice facility that year in the showers, there was a unique showering situation. I'll just put it that way. That was a unique memory. And, the touchdown pass to my friend Pete Metzlar's, of course, first touchdown in Panthers history. I don't have, as a career backup quarterback, I don't have too many highlights, but, to have the first touchdown pass in the team's history is pretty special. And then that first game in Atlanta, we're playing our very first game in team history in Atlanta with, thinking, you're even going to have a chance. And we take the game to overtime, and we ended up losing in overtime, but I'll never forget that first game.
All right. Thank you, Phil, Mike K, and Ellis.
He didn't answer the second part of the question about the quarterback.
WSOC in Charlotte. I'm over here to your left. I'm curious what it was that brought you to Charlotte and kept you to Charlotte in between your playing career and your coaching career. What drew you to the city?
introduced our daughters, they were all raised here. You know, we lived here for 13 years before, you know, transitioning full time. So, you know, one of our daughters, our youngest daughter, Hannah, was born here, but they were all raised here, went to school here, high school, the whole deal. So this was home. This was instantly home for us. You know, we had 10 years up in Buffalo, which were amazing 10 years playing up there. And then I played for 3 other teams as I finished my career. But when we were looking at, hey, where's home base going to be long term? It was the Carolinas. It's always been the Carolinas for Linda and I. We've been, like I said, we've been married a long time. And when we started talking about where do we want home base to be, we just fell in love with this area, with this city. And so this has always been part of the master plan. And then to think I get to come back and do it as the head coach, that's insane to me. So let's go.
Hey, Frank, Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. When you got to Indy, it was kind of an unusual circumstance where Matt and a few of those coaches were already in place. I was just curious, what did you learn from your first staff building experience in Indy, and how will that impact building a staff here now?
I thought we built a great staff. We had really good diversity of thought, diversity of personalities, diversity of coaching styles. I think that's important. The chemistry of the staff is really, really important. I think that's one of the lessons learned, you know, as a lot of those guys were very successful and went on to be head coaches and coordinators with other teams, which I think is a good sign that we did our job the right way to start. But then you start losing those guys and you got to replace. And this goes back to Mr. Tepper's point.
That sounds familiar.
We had good coaches in all places. And, you know, but there's still something about chemistry. And that's my job as a head coach to make sure that's right.
Frank, Ellis Williams here, Charlotte Observer. You've been doing this for a long time. You've been around a lot of offensive creative minds. I'm wondering, from your 2 stops in Indy to Philly to Arizona to San Diego, what are your offensive philosophies and pillars, and what are you going to bring and lean on from those when you build this Carolina offense?
It's a passing league, but you have to run the ball to be a championship team. You know, I mean, there's exceptions to that. But when you look at the analytics, the statistics over the years, that you got to be effective running the football and efficient running the football. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about this roster. I know we can do that. We'll get the pass game right, but I know we can run the football, and we're going to run the football because that just builds off the play action, off the RPO stuff, you know, all the movement stuff. So that's what you want to build. What offensively you're always trying to do is to create conflict in the defender. Put a seed of doubt in the defender's mind.
This shit turning
me on,
Is it
run?
man.
Is it pass? Is it the RPO? Is it a first level RPO throw? Is it second level? Is it, you know, are they going deep? So complement everything together. But it starts with running the football. And then the second principle is you have to get the ball vertical down the field. You have to get chunk plays. All the statistics, all the analytics. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited to work for Mr. Tepper, because, right, if anybody who knows analytics, it's him and all of his businesses.
Everything, but
he gets this as much as anybody. But like it's hard to go 14 play drives all the time. You got to get chunk plays down the field. So we need to be able to run the ball, have play action off it. We can get it vertical, have the kind of players and quarterback that can do that.
And one more real quick, if I can.
It's been have a quarterback that can do that.
You were fired in Indianapolis, and now a quick turnaround here. Not too many coaches get this opportunity this quickly. I'm wondering if you've had time to reflect what you've learned from your time in Indy that you will then implement here in Carolina.
I did. I did. In some ways, if there was going to be a transition, it was a blessing in disguise, you know, that I really did. Okay. We were talking earlier with a group of people. You know, in the NFL, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have successes and failures. We had 4 years of good success, and then you go through 1 year where there's a struggle, and now you have a chance to reflect on that. And it's like, you know, it's like getting an app. I like to talk to the players like this. You know, in apps you get version 1, then there's version 2. I feel like this provides me an opportunity to debug some things, make things better. Now come out with version 2.0 or version 3.0. It's better. It's cleaned up. The important thing is, though, that you're starting with a good product to start, which I know we are. So now we clean some things up. Like I said, staff, vision of the offense, complementary defense, you know, and that high level of special teams play, all the areas that that we're really going to focus on a team. And then how to stay true to the process, manage expectations in a way, keep our team focused on the right things, and then keep challenging and pushing. challenging and pushing. Ultimately, it's got to come from the players. The head coach and the coaches can only do so much. The leadership has to come from the locker room, right? I got a role that I got to play, and I'll do my best to play that role. But ultimately, that leadership's got to come from the players as well.
Let's go to David Newton and then Josh Klein, please.
Yeah, Frank, David Newton, ESPN.com. Not sure what I asked you in 1995 first. Probably could you be the starting quarterback? But I want to follow up on one of the questions over there. What exactly went wrong at Indianapolis? And are any correlations between what you've seen the last 5 years here in your brief evaluation of why this team hasn't been successful?
I think what went wrong was, we had this in 4 years. We established, in 4 years, it was established that that team, we were running the ball well. We're like we're going to do here. And then as this year started out, that the running game disappeared. And then we didn't get the ball vertically down the field because of that.
Because Matt
and
Ryan
we
sucks.
ended up having some breakdowns. Now, and that's on me as the head coach. I got to get that right. The responsibility starts with me, right? So when we don't reach our goals, it's under my leadership, and so I have to take. And that's why I have an opportunity to be here. But ultimately, I also feel I look back and I also say, well, part of it went wrong. I always feel like I've always had a good track record of the second half of the season as a head coach. If you go back and look at the record in the second half of the season, so there's a little bit of side of me that says we've had a way as a staff of figuring it out. Even when you go over a few bumps, I think we're good at figuring things out, injuries, things you have to get past, putting players in the best position. So that's a lot of fun to do.
Hey, Frank, Josh Klein from the Riot Report. You already talked about your memories from 1995, and one of the first pictures that the team put out to announce your hiring was a picture of you and Sam Mills. And I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about what Sam and keep pounding means to you specifically.
Great question.
Sam, good captain of our team. I mean, he was the lifeblood of our team. That first year, we knew that we were having a special experience, and Sam was at the center of that. You knew when you walked and Sam was in the room, you knew it. You felt his presence. You felt his leadership. He had very high standards. I think that's what stands out to me most about my memories of Sam. His standards were just so high personally. He drove himself, his work ethic, how he prepared, how he practiced, how he played. And then it just exemplified that keep pounding, which to me ultimately is about a sign of being committed to the process. That even though there's going to be some bumps along the road, if we keep pounding and we keep believing, we're going to get it right.
He got it. He got it. Let's go, Frank.
Go to Mike Solarte.
He understands, bro.
Frank,
He
back
gets
here
it.
in the back straight to your left. It's good to see you again. Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. You talked about the relationship between the head coach and the general manager, you and Scott Fitterer. Is there a for lack of a better description, balance of power, input? I mean, how do you see your role in helping to build this roster? Is it giving Scott a name you like, or collaborative, or where do you start with that?
Yeah, it's balance of power. Scott will have control of 53. I'll control who's active
Let's
and
go.
who's not active. But ultimately,
Let's go.
That's on paper. In reality, this is 100% collaborative. I can already tell that with Scott. We're going to work side by side. We're going to tirelessly work where we're going to have the same vision. We'll have disagreements. We'll have disagreements. We'll have different ideas, but ultimately we'll come together as one and decide who are the best players on this team and how to build this team. And along with the scouting staff and the coaches, we'll work together. So I look forward to that. I can already tell with Scott that partnership is going to be a highlight for me, and looking forward to getting work as soon as we possibly can.
Frank, Brett, excuse me, Brett Jensen, WBT News. I'm just curious, getting back to quarterback a second. What type of quarterback do you prefer? Do you prefer a running style quarterback where you mentioned the RPOs, or like, Jalen Hurts, or do you prefer more of a traditional drop back type of quarterback? What do you prefer?
We all know where the game's going, right? And we all know the game is going to, a more movement style quarterback. I embrace that. I love that. And we worked with some, in Philadelphia, had worked with Carson Wentz, and we did a lot of good things, got a lot of good things with movement, RPOs, play action, all that stuff. Same thing in the years in Indy. We had some drop back, some movement guys. And So ultimately, we can adapt to whatever. But where the game is going, and most of the guys coming out in college have more movement. So, that has some advantages. The defensive players will tell you when that quarterback is back there and he is a threat to run. You watch Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, which our offenses are very similar just because of our connection with Nick Sirianni and so on and so forth. And the quarterback's running his own read and he's a threat to run. It just puts the defense in conflict, right? Slows the backside down. We have a saying that we'll say on offense: front side wins games, backside wins championships. Front side wins games, backside wins championships. Okay, well, if the backside wins championships, and if I got a quarterback who can run and he's making that defensive end hold his water, making the linebacker hold the water at the second level, it's just going to give my guys more room on the front side. It's going to put the offensive lineman in a position to have better leverage. So if you got that guy, that's the game you play, and you put it to the player's advantage. But if you, at some level, even those guys. And Mr. Tepper and Scott and I talked about this. You got to have a guy that can win from the pocket. We're not going to drop back. If we have one of those guys, we won't drop back 50 times, but you got to drop back 10 times. It's 3rd and 10, and the game is on the line. You probably are playing from the pocket. So we can develop that as well. You want to be able to understand who you're drafting, or understand who you're acquiring.
Understand who you're drafting. You said it.
As a player.
You said it.
All get better. I can be better as a coach. They can become better
right,
as a player.
Let it slip, bro.
We're signing a guy or drafting a guy. But ultimately, that's the challenge.
Hey,
and
read between the lines, brothers
of it.
and sisters out there. We drafting the quarterback.
Hey, Frank, it's Chris Jenkins with Charlotte Vibe. This was a process that took several weeks and several rounds with candidates. In your eyes, what made you stick out specifically to be the chosen head coach for this Carolina Panthers team? And then I have a follow-up.
Well, obviously, I think that would be more a question for Mr. Tepper and Nicole and Scott and the crew. I just know this. I know there's more than one way to do it. It's not a one-man show. So I'm not trying to make it like it's a one-man show. I have very strong convictions about what I think it takes to win, what I think it takes to build a roster, what I think that vision looks like, how we play as a team, what areas that we really have to be good at in situational football, and then how to be good at those areas. But it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort. So I hope what came out there is that this is going to be about the team of coaches, the team of players that we build, working as an organization, that excellence is the standard, that consistency of excellence is what we've got to have. That's ultimately what we're all looking for. We want to be at the top. This is what I heard from it. We want to be at the top, not just every now and then, year in and year out. So that's what we're striving for.
Thank you. And the second part is, part of what you mentioned is collaboration with the players. Player safety is important. Players here have mentioned wanting a natural surface, and we have
great question, Chris.
Have you had conversation about that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Great question.
Could you just repeat the last part of that again? I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah, have you had conversations with the organization about the planned surface, and what is your overall opinion on what the surface is best for players?
That's a great question.
I'm sorry. There's a word that you're saying that I didn't catch.
Surface of the field.
Okay. If I'm not answering the question directly, it's my fault. Okay. Ask my daughters. They'll tell me sometimes my hearing gets a little bit messed up. Okay. So my fault. Okay. Just make that clear. But the way I approach the collaboration piece with the players, with the coaches is, listen, we're going to collaborate, but it's not a democracy. It can't be. It doesn't work well like that. Okay. The players are going to feel that I will love and respect them, and the coaches will love and respect them. And they've all had a lot of great coaches and players that I'm sure have coaches that have done that. But they're going to feel my love and respect for them.
Answering the question.
And they're going to feel that we will listen. We will listen to what they have to say. But there has to be a chain of command. The coaches have to be in charge. It's about the players, but the players can't run the ship. It just doesn't work like that.
Facts.
That works for a very short time. If you want to have sustained success, it has to be the right kind of leadership from the coach, the GM, and the owner. And the players are going to drive the ship, but they're not running the ship.
Facts. That's what I've been trying to say. When y'all trying to let him pick the coach,
here,
y'all trying to let the players pick the coach.
Bayhackle Sports.
And then how it worked, bro.
2 questions for you. First of all, welcome back to Charlotte. What will what do you want the identity of the Frank Reich coach Carolina Panthers to be? And then also there are some players here, since we're just talking about players, have you had the chance to sit down with any of them? And if so, maybe share some of those conversations, what they were like?
No, first with the players, just have started to reach out via text to make sure they all had my number so that when I call and try to connect, obviously it's been 2 days. So like I said, that'll be the highlight, to get with these guys one-on-one, to get with them together. And the first part of that question.
He getting tired, bro.
Sorry, my mic was gone. What do you want the identity of this team to be?
So 5 traits of great. What it takes to be a great player. 5 traits of great. Number 1 is toughness, mental and physical toughness. Number 2 is accelerated vision, right? What does that mean? That means that you see the game so fast, and your brain and processes information so quickly, the game is slow to you.
Sound like
it's
Luke
slow
to
to
me.
you. Like, this is easy. I know what they're doing. I know what that split means. I know what that stance means. I know what that backfield alignment means. I know what that release means. So when you play with accelerated vision, you play faster than your time speed, and you're really good in situational football. Number 3 is footwork. Football is played from the ground up. So we want our team to be marked with good footwork. It's all about fundamentals and technique. When it's good on good,
that shit.
And that's what it is every week in the NFL. It's good on good. Our players are good, and they're good. So who's going to win? The guy with the best fundamentals. The guys with the best fundamentals. So we're going to be good fundamentally. That's going to be a mark of the team. Number 4 is going to be playmaker. You got to be able to make plays in the clutch, on third down, in the red zone, in 2 minutes, when the game is really on the line.
I'm about to
That's
cry,
not just
man.
the quarterback. It's not just the receivers. It's the left guard cutting off a nose tackle on outside zone to the right. That's a playmaker. That's a playmaker. So that's all across the board. And then lastly is the X factor. You got to have the X factor, right? We want players who have that X factor. What does that mean? They're great leaders. They're great teammates. They love football. They love to practice. They love to meet. They love to grind. Those are the kind of players we want in the building.
Guys, we're up against time. So the last one to Jeremy.
Frank, you were known for the comebacks as a player. When your first season in Indianapolis, you guys started slowly, came back to make the playoffs. What do you remember about your messaging that season, and how does that apply to what you're taking over right now?
Hit that subscribe on your boy real quick.
One day at a time. A lot of teams use this. I know even our team here, this was big this last year. Because it's true. It's got to be a 1-0 mentality. It's about 1% better, get 1% better every day, and be 1-0. Be 1-0 today. Win the day.
Sound like Joe Brady now.
To talk about, hey, guys, during the week, the way we practice, the way we meet, the way we prepare, we're going to put all that in a suitcase. That suitcase is only so big, right? It has a weight limit when you can take on the plane, or it's a 50-pound limit when you pack it up and put it on the plane. So you can only fit so much in there. But what happens is then when we get there on Sunday, we're going to pour that out on the field. Our collective score, preparation, all those things, how we did it. We're going to bring our suitcase, and the opposing team is going to bring their suitcase. And on Sunday, those things are getting dumped out on the field. And whoever has the best suitcase is going to win. And then guess what? In the NFL, that suitcase is completely unpacked, and then you pack it up the next week. And that's the cycle of the NFL.
Thank you so much, Coach. And thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it. We'll do some photo ops here now that we're completed. So if you guys would like to come forward, you certainly may. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna let the video run. Hey. All right, I'm gonna let the video run, but I'm gonna turn it down because boy, there's a lot of. I guess I'll let it rock in the background a little bit. It's a lot to unpack here. A lot to unpack here. Let him hang on him, Frank. That's what he said. Let him hang. Let him hang. Shout out to Just Bobby. A lot to talk about, fam. There was so many things, so many little nuggets that I wrote down, bro. When he was talking about his vision, for the team, my man was talking about how the playoffs is the floor. That's what I've been saying. That's exactly what I've been saying. Yo, the playoffs, just getting to the playoffs is not acceptable, bro. That's the floor. The expectation is to win championships. And yes, it's easy to say that, but a lot of teams don't move like that with their actions. A lot of people don't move like that with their hires, their coaching hires. Bro, this is exactly what I've been saying. The playoffs is the floor. Bro, I went nuts when he said that because that's exactly what I've been saying. And y'all just keep accepting, like, just make it to the playoffs. That's not good enough. That is not good enough for me, bro. You have to aspire and move like a playoff, like a championship team. You have to move like a championship team, bro. So I loved it when he said that. Talked about the 4 pillars. 4 pillars to a great organization. Ownership, the organization, the players, building a relationship. And you can see him talking to the players right now on screen. He's not just talking about it, he's doing it. Those are leaders. Moton, D-Jack, Jimmy Chin. These guys are leaders. I know certain guys aren't there, like Brian Burns. We don't know their situation. These guys could be rehabbing or whatever. We don't know where they are. So I'm not going to speculate as to why they're not there. But there are leaders on this team at this joint. Speaks volumes, right? Ownership, players, coaches. Get the best of the best coaches. We've been moving like that. We've been trying to get Vic Fangio. Offered him the bag. You're trying, though. That's moving like a championship team. That's moving like a championship team. And then talked about the fans. You have to put the butts in the seats. You have to put a good product on the field. A lot of y'all been talking about, oh, I'm not going to the games because we ain't got a good product. I feel that. For him to acknowledge that is big, bro. For him to acknowledge that is huge for me. Principle. He talked about the principles of the team. Relentless pursuit to get better every day. Excellent comes through competition. And then team. Talked about that as well. One thing that keeps coming up with Frank Reich, and multiple people have said this. Right? The word innovation keeps coming up. He said it. The Colts Potter that came up here said it. I think Joe Person said it in his article. People are talking about innovation with this guy. That should turn you on, bro. Innovation, not just turn around and run the football or the same play we've seen. Like we get this one play to Dago and Laviska Shenault 30 times. Like that's not innovation, bro. Innovation in the offense. Bro, you heard this man breaking down offenses. We heard more offensive talk, X's and O talk from this dude than we heard from any coach all season. He spent more X's and O's in this pod than we heard all season from any of our head coaches, bro. Any of our head coaches. This dude knows what he's talking about. And this is what I be talking about when I say I want an offensive guy. They understand. And another thing he kept saying, bro, if you listen to what he said, bro, he talked about trends. They asked him, was he going to call plays? Was he going to call plays? He said, oh, it depends on the staff. It depends on the staff that I have. He said, I know that there's a trend going away from that. There's a trend going away from the head coach calling plays. Bro, he acknowledged it from a guy that wants to do it. He said, I love to call plays. I want to call them. But there's a trend that's working that goes away from that. So I will do whatever it takes. Bro, what? We haven't seen this kind of competence in a long time. We haven't seen this kind of competence. I love that 23 jersey right there. Obviously, 2023 is what that signifies. Dope. I might need to cop one of those. But bro, what? And then he talked about stability at quarterback, which to me signaled I'm drafting a rookie. And what did he talk about? What did he talk about in that rookie? Oh, we could develop a guy. We want to get in here and develop him. What? Bro, what? Analytics. He talked about analytics. Bro, I believe him. He talked about finishing the season strong. I know somebody put it in here earlier. They started 1-4 and then came back to be 10-6 in a season. He started off slow this year. They didn't give him time to turn it around. He talked about, but he took ownership for that though. That's another thing. That's something that other guy that we just had definitely, most certainly did not do, was take responsibility for the Colts' demise. The Colts, what happened with the Colts this year. He took responsibility for that. Which is super dope. That's super dope to me.
And it's pretty much known.
Look at C3 coming up on my joint. But yeah, man. So, bro, this is dope. This is dope. This is what I love. What I'm hearing from Frank, or what I've heard from Frank Reich. So shout out to Frank Reich, man. This was an excellent press conference. I loved it. He talked about the dichotomy of the front office and his relationship with Scott Fitterer and how they're going to work together, and admitted off the jump, we don't have to read between the lines. Scott controls the 53. That is how it's supposed to work. That's how it's. Look at the common sense that we're doing here. Common sense, bro. Common sense. It's common sense stuff, bro. It's common sense, man. I love what I saw from Frank Reich, or heard from Frank Reich today. Now we got to see the actions. What is going to come from the actions, right? Who our coordinators going to be? Because that's going to signify. He talked about that in his pillars. The coaches are part of the pillars. We're going to get the best of the best. They tried to get Vic Fangio, was literally the best defensive coordinator out there. Tried to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator. It didn't work out, but they tried. To me, that matters. To me, that matters. But this is great. This is great, man. This is great. Innovation. I love that word. Innovation in offense. And I've heard it multiple times with this man. I get it. I get it with him, bro. It makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm not sure who's available for offense. This is a good question. Offensive defensive coordinator. So Vic, yes, Vic is technically not signed. Vic is technically not signed with the Dolphins. He technically has not signed, but for all intents and purposes, it looks like he's not on Carolina, or Carolina is not on his radar right now, is what it seems. Yeah, and it looks like Vic was waiting on the 49ers, which they lost the other day. So it could be that if when DeMeco announces that he's going to the Texans or wherever he goes, that Vic Fangio would take that job versus anywhere else. So we talked about that a little bit better. A little bit more earlier. But I loved it. Love what I heard from this guy, man. I love what I heard. I'm gonna stay on for about until 1:00. But yeah, man, can't wait to break this down even more later. Hopefully, we'll get some indications on offensive coordinator. Their eye is on Ben Johnson from the Eagles, right? Relationships matter. Brian Johnson. I say Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson with the Lions. That's not what I meant to say. If I said Ben, I meant Brian Johnson from the Eagles staff. Now, obviously, he goes back. He joined the team in 2021, so he wasn't on the same. Yeah, he was at Florida prior. Okay, so interesting. Ben Johnson. I think some folks have probably put this together, but Brian Johnson. I keep saying Ben. My apologies. Brian Johnson coached at Florida. AR-15 was at Florida. So if we get Brian Johnson, then AR could be the guy. Could be the guy. You never know. There's a connection there. Yeah, he recruited AR-15. So shout out to Carson. Yes, he recruited AR-15. He was at Florida. So there's a connection there if we happen to land Brian Johnson. And he was the quarterback's coach for the Eagles from 2021 to 2023. So obviously they're already putting a button up on that because it looks like he's going to get up out of here. But yeah, we are going live tonight. Dave is not here, so Dave will get his opportunity to once he digests the press conference, he will talk about it. So yeah, man, that's the press conference, bro. Man, that was good. That was a good press conference. I love it. Loved it. I'm not mad at it at all. He said a lot of things that I like to hear. Yeah, man. Love him. How we feeling about AR-15? It depends on what they do. You got to remember, Jacoby Brissett worked under Frank Reich. Okay, could we bring in Jacoby Brissett? I don't know. I think whatever quarterback we get, we need to start him day one. So I don't know that AR will be ready to start day one. Nobody knows the answer to that. But I prefer Stroud. If we can get Stroud, that's who I want. That's what I want. But yeah, man, I love that press conference. Let me get some thumbs up or thumbs down. How do you feel? Especially for my Wilkes folks, the folks that like Wilkes. How do you feel now about this hire after the press conference? And it's just words, right? You got to back up the words. So let me get a thumbs up in the chat or thumbs down if you didn't like it. And if you put thumbs down, why not? Why did you not like it? Like the press conference? Because I'm curious. So lots of thumbs up. I want to hear from a Wilkes person, somebody who loves Wilkes, How do you feel about it now? I'm curious. I want to know, man. I want to know how the Wilkes folks. I see a lot of thumbs up, whole lot of thumbs up. But where I want to know from the Wilkes folks, couple thumbs down, couple thumbs down. If you thumbs down, just drop in the chat why you feel that way. Yeah, we watched the same press conference. Lloyd, talk about it. What I keep saying, you saying it's the worst press conference ever, but you ain't saying nothing. You ain't saying nothing. Say something. Why was it bad? You must have been watching Matt Rule's press conference from a couple years ago. That's what you watched, because that was the worst press conference ever. Of course he's not going to say that. He ain't going to say that. And I respect this. Actions speak louder than words. Waiting to see you before I give my opinion. I respect that. Real quick, man. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button too. We about 1,500 people away from 20,000 subscribers. So I like to get 20,000 subscribers ASAP. So let's go ahead and make that happen. He said, why? Because key. I'm assuming you mean key players weren't there, and he said process. Bro, process is a coach that a word that every coach is gonna say. So that's cap. Dodge questions. He made the offense sound good. I don't know what questions he dodged. He dodged the turf question. I don't know what other question he dodged. And the key players were there: Taylor Moton, Jeremy Chin, Dante Jackson. Key players, bro. What you talking about? Bro? Let me see. I'm trying to get through some of these. Of course, I respect this. He definitely got to show it. You got to show it. You got to show it for sure. Now he understood that question. He understood it, and he said, "I apologize if I didn't answer the question correctly." He understood the question, but that ain't really his. What is he supposed to say? He ain't. That ain't his responsibility. That's on the owner. That's on the owner. I don't know where they're at. You don't know where they're at either. They could be on vacation somewhere. So don't just because they weren't there, you shouldn't take it as a sign that they don't like the coach. That's cap. You don't know where they at. You don't know what they doing. He did dodge. Now, this is a great point. He did dodge the QB question too. Or he didn't answer. He failed to answer that question. I don't know that he dodged it, but he failed to answer the question regarding about the QBs on the roster. Basically, there are none. Technically, Matt Corral's the only one that's really still on the roster. Technically, PJ is exclusive rights free agent, I believe. But he did not answer that question. So that's a good point. He did fail to answer that question. So that's true. But he did talk about developing quarterbacks and get stability. So he kind of alluded to his answer, but didn't directly answer that question. Good point about Jacob Eason, but I don't think he counts. That's a camp body. That's a camp body. Tepper did speak. Tepper spoke before, but didn't say shit. Yeah, he definitely let it slip that we're probably going to draft a quarterback, and then kind of walked it back. He kind of walked it back and said, or whatever quarterback we go out and get in free agency. So he let it slip. Pause. Yeah, Tepper didn't say nothing because he don't know. Yeah, and he needs to stop talking, though, to be honest. He needs to stop. There's certain things he needs to address, but certain things he needs to keep his mouth shut. I think he did. He said enough today. Introducing Reich, he did. That's all we need to hear from you. That just stay out the way, bro. Stay out the way. I'm not doing a mock right now, y'all. I know y'all keep asking for it. I'm not gonna do a mock right now. I'll probably save that for later. I'll save it for later. New mock with us selecting Levis or AR-15. We'll do that later. We'll do that tonight. Remember, I'm going live tonight as well. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. Love these press conferences, dog. I love the press conferences. These are fun. I like to live react to them because you tend to call out stuff that people missed, and some things I hear I hear a little bit different. So it is what it is. Let's see. All right, I think I'm gonna shut it down, man. I got a little bit of work to do before I get up out of here and before I get prepared for tonight. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, man. I appreciate y'all trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that subscribe button. I will holler at y'all tonight. Me and Dave was in the chat earlier, and he will be on the show tonight to give his breakdown, and we'll kind of bounce around some different ideas on who the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators could be. So I'll holler at y'all, man. Like, subscribe, notification bell again. I'm out. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.